I was just coming on here to get a little overview about my current coaching services, what things I provide, and talk about a few different things, right? I want to talk about like what things are included in the services, how things are laid out, what expectations I have, and then what an athlete will see from their point of view on top of what I see from my point of view as well. Being able to set guidelines and expectations with an athlete's is extremely important to me because it gives very clear communication between coach and athlete to have as much feasible data as you can get, and then things flow smoother, things tend to ramp up better, and success rates go up significantly. So I wanted to come here and talk about a few different things there. But to get into the coaching services a little bit more in detail, right? Here is a brief little document about what current coaching services I provide. With that, with my current coaching services, you are charged on a monthly basis. This guarantees daily communication via WhatsApp. All coaching communication is through WhatsApp, whether you're sending videos, asking me questions, anything of that nature. And I also guarantee a 24-hour response wait window. If this were to change, I also have a private team Instagram with just my team, just my roster, just my athletes to update them on the situation. Per se, I am going to travel across the country to handle a meet, a nationals meet, or something like that. Delay communication may be delayed, so I update people on that. There has yet to been a single time in my past 2 to 3 years of coaching that I've never responded to anybody within outside of this 24-hour window. No matter how busy I was, I would always get back to people and get their feedback in a timely manner. Obviously, with coaching, you're going to get a one-on-one individualized program with block to block updates and stuff like that, with blocks lasting around 3 to 5 weeks. Most of my lifters have a 4 week block, but there are a few that run 3 to 5 weeks. It really just depends on your body, your pacing, and how things go from there. We have to experiment with that. But with that being said, initially, whenever you onboard with me, I also include in it a detailed technique analysis. And what that means is I have you send me a few videos of your technique, and then you you send me the videos and I analyze them myself, and I make a video just like this, and I send to you personally talking about, hey, I think this technique is really good. Hey, I think this technique needs some work. This is what I think we can do to change things, and then we'll build off that just so we're on the same page. And then with the video, it's easier for you to see what I'm seeing rather than just me sending kind of a text or a voice message. It's really beneficial, in my opinion, to visually see things, especially in a strength sport like powerlifting. But each person I coach has their own personalized Google Drive. This will include their personalized program, the links to all these videos with the detailed technique analysis, and then each block I write for everybody, whether that's a 2 week block just for timing to pivot into a meet day to make timing right, or a full 4 or 5 week block. They will get a block overview video, usually lasting between 5 to 20 minutes, depending on how much information we have to cover. This is just to have coherency within each person, each athlete, and me. I write the things and I explain why I wrote things, just so you don't have as many questions, or you're not left in the dark. If you have questions after watching the video, obviously everybody has the ability to ask me questions, send me text, be like, oh, why did you do this, or per se, anything like that. But within that Google Drive, you have a shared folder with, like I said, the technique analysis and regular block overview videos. And then I do game day handling. I do not charge for that. The biggest thing with that is really dependent on distance. I am in the Texas area. I tend to drive throughout all of Texas to handle my athletes. If it's outside of Texas or outside of a 4 or 5 hour driving distance from me, then I usually will not be able to make it. I will do absolutely everything in my power to get somebody, a handler in that area, just whether that be posting on my story, having connections, or anything like that. But to get into the Google Drive, I'm going to give a little bit of an overview on that and exactly how it looks. As for the Google Drive, this is just one of my more recent athletes, Erica. This is how a Google Drive tends to be laid out for a lot of people. Some other people I'll get into and show a little bit, have a little bit more information on there depending on what they need, right? So Erica, this is a quote unquote more basic Google Drive. Here is her program attached. This is a shortcut for some coaching information I have um, that everybody has access to, and then I'll get into this here in 1 second. But let's go back here. Oops. But as I was mentioning before, with those shared videos, the technique analysis and the block overview, those will be in the shared videos link here, right? So most people have all people, sorry, will have a shared videos link, and there will be two Word documents here with links for these videos. Here is her initial technique analysis video link. What I always do is I create the video and then I send you the link via WhatsApp initially, so it's easier to watch. You don't have to go through all the Google Drive, but this is extremely beneficial in case you want to go back and go look over the things that we sent. So with most of the time, WhatsApp will delete messages after a certain amount of time. If you don't want to either scroll up or it's lost in time because of the WhatsApp deleting messages, you can go to these links, and then you will have the link just to type into your web browser to go back and watch the video. And the same thing with the block overview links here. These are the two block overviews we've done so far. With this one, this is kind of a 2-week pivot here, and this is our CNATS prep. I have the date here just to have a little more clearness of things here. Very self-explanatory. And then with the coaching information, with my expectations, what I expect from athletes, these will be all here, right? My coaching services, this link will be the exact same things here, which we already went over. This is kind of a doc for any athletes who have never competed before or who just want a refresher. I made this document a while ago just to give a little bit less of a wordy overview on rules for meet day in case anybody was concerned or confused. And then the final one is my expectation for feedback. What I personally do for feedback is I have athletes send me a post-session feedback, right? What that means is after they work out, they send me all of their videos and then send me a couple sentences, a couple paragraphs, whatever we think is necessary for the day on how things went. Compared to having athletes send me the videos throughout inter-session, I would rather people not send me videos during the workout because this mitigates a lot of emotion and stuff like that, and it helps them become more of an independent lifter as well. And the way I program, you have pretty clear expectations of what I expect you to do, so there isn't much of a issue with this. And to get into this in one moment, so with the post-session feedback, like I was saying, you send me all your videos. I set a guideline of what videos you want. Most of the time, it's 1 to 3 videos per compound lift. What I like to have are ref angles for videos or direct side angles and stuff like that. This kind of helps gauge technique and then what refs see, just so we can clean things up on that end. I like to tell people to send me their top set, or if they have ascending sets, a couple of their ascending sets and one back down, so on and so forth, depending on how programming is. But after that, I expect a few people, everybody actually, to send me that post-session feedback and be like, okay, today felt good, and I think it's because XYZ, or I think today felt bad because I think XYZ, or hey, I worked on this technique that we talked about last week. I think it felt really good, super happy with it. Or hey, I worked on this technique we talked about last week. It doesn't feel good. I'm not sure why. And then I give them feedback based off of that. But this helps create a really good structure, right? This structure helps people become their own lifter, become more independent, a lot more, I guess you can say, smarter with their decisions. And then it's a lot less emotion-based feedback because you have time to go through the motions throughout your accessories, or after your workout you have time for your emotions to flare down if things go really well or things don't go well. It gives this athlete more of an objective feedback to give to me, so I can give them a more objective feedback to give to them. And I think this style of feedback has helped grow my coaching and feedback tremendously, and then this is super beneficial. With this doc, I have just some questions on why things would go the way it was, or what questions do you have to ask for me the feedback. Also with some screenshots of some feedback here at the bottom for everyone to see. All right. What I also have in this Google Drive within my coaching information is this Google Sheets called Client Meet Days. What this is, I'll go to it here real quickly. It's basically a list I compile of all of my athletes that I will be handling in the future that I know that are competing anytime soon, right? So if X person wants to do a meet, I tell them, okay, that's perfectly fine as long as the meet lines up well. Go ahead and check this Google Sheet. In case I have 3 or 4 different athletes already competing, the way I do things for coaching and handling, especially in the area, is kind of first come first serve for my athletes. I As long as the sessions, that's if the sessions coincide. If sessions and flights work out perfectly, I will be able to handle everybody at that meet. But if things don't work out very well timing wise, then I let them know, okay, hey, these people are already competing here. They told me first, the timing doesn't work out. I will find you a handler for myself, and then we'll get things situated from there, just so we can have coherency on that part. But I have all of my athletes here, and I also have a couple other athletes that I'm also handling at other meets here for other coaches that I know. But it just creates more of a clear expectation on things. Like, oh, hey, Tyler already has these people at this meet. Maybe I don't want to do this meet because I want him to handle me, or so on and so forth, right? But that's kind of just the Google Drive, the expectations I have laid out for everybody. And then I'm going to, in here 1 second, create a block over video for one of my athletes, for an athlete I just wrote pretty recently, and then y'all will be able to experience what he's going to watch. It's going to be the exact same video he watches, so you'll hear my thought process and things like that, and should be pretty self-explanatory from there. All right, here's an in-depth block overview video for my athlete Caleb. We are 2 months out from a meet, and this is going to be a doubles lift. We just hit singles last block. We made some changes. We talked about some changes last week to the block just to mitigate some fatigue and build up some more momentum. But this is going to be the block overview video that he gets, and a little look inside of what service the video provides, and then what everything you'll see if you onboard. Right. So to get into the video, all right, Caleb. So with the block, right, a lot of the things stayed the same, but I did make a few slight changes, especially when it comes to accessory work and then secondary day workload. We talked about your back being a little bit more fatigued these past few blocks. With that being said, what we wanted to do, what we talked about previously, was having some back extensions, not for strengthening the back yet, but for kind of a blood flow movement in the back, and I added an accessory for that. But we'll get into that here on that Thursday when I talk about Thursday. Some changes I did make for the Monday session. Number one, this belt squat, I adjusted the rep range here from, I believe, 10 to 12 to 8 to 10, and then RPE is progressively increasing throughout the block like normal. And then for leg extensions, this stayed the same. We kept the programming style the same here, and then the rep range adjusted here as well. What I did, a bigger change I made here, I took away the Bulgarian split squats and put a unilateral leg press. If you don't know what a unilateral leg press is, it's literally just a single leg press. So it kind of serves a very similar purpose. It helps you push the quads a little bit more and get you some of the hip mobility at the same time. But it's a little bit less fatiguing than the Bulgarian split squat in my opinion. So I wanted to switch it up from there. And then we have lat pull downs as usual from there. I think I ended up adjusting almost all of the accessory rep ranges in a couple set counts as well. So just keep in mind whenever you are talking and reading through the accessories, make sure you read the reps and the sets, because some things were increased and some things were decreased. But as for the compound movement itself, what I did took away was the only pause squats on this Monday. As you know, we had only pause squats Monday. We had a top one set of pause squat, and we had a 3 by 4, 5, or 6 back down. What I ended up doing was putting a comp squat with a ranged out load here. Reason being is because you've been telling me that the bar's feeling slightly heavy on your back, but your legs feel great. That just kind of tells me you need a little more stimulus, a little bit more load on your back on that secondary day coming into the primary day. So I went ahead and put a regular squat with one less rep to initiate more stimulus on the back, a little more weight, just so you feel strong, while also maintaining the volume we need to feel good, and then having the pause squat in for technique work as well. Instead of having the pause squat only, since pause squat is kind of load limiting, self-limiting a little bit, with the comp squat, you're going to be able to put a little more load on, and then that'll help you a lot. keeping the Larson press the same, adjusting the rep ranges here, giving you a little bit more reign on that, on the load management there. But I think this Larson press day is helping significantly. We're improving raw strength day by day, and then that's kind of proving perfect for our bench right now, the way it's blowing up. As for the next day, Wednesday, we have the closer grip bench, pretty similar programming. What I did though was I put a load range here instead of giving you a little more free reign, because I want to create a better baseline on this closer grip day to slowly increase by 2.5 to 5 kilos each week, just so we don't get over fatigued. Even if this is quote unquote per se undershot, this is going to create a stronger baseline. Let your body catch up, let your CNS catch up to your muscles, because you're getting so much stronger so fast. So this is gonna help us, in my opinion, a lot. And then what I did is I went away from the straight sets of pause deadlifts like we did last block. We don't have a 3x5 anymore. We have ascending sets of 4. This has proved to work the best for you, and I have you doing specific loads. I have you doing exact loads. You actually just need to read the program and do it and let me know what RP it is, because this in the past, when we did this ascending sets for deadlift, you weren't nearly as fatigued as you were before. You are now. We did the straight sets, so we're going to go back to that a little bit, and then you're still going to get enough stimulus that you need. And then like I said, I adjusted this neutral grip rep range here. I'm really enjoying the neutral grip. I think it's helping get your chest a lot stronger, so I'm super happy about that. And then going into the Thursday, the primary squat day, we're going to do doubles for a top set with this rep range, and then we're going to do back downs of 6. And then we have those 2x1 tempo singles. Instead of having what we did before, just doing ascending singles for the thing, we are going to do 2x1 with the same load. This is going to help you feel a little bit better with the feedback you've given me. So super happy and super excited to try this out, especially with last block, the 2-week pivot going extremely well with it. And then having the same back downs, just a 2x6 with one top end load and then a generated back down there. And like I was saying earlier, we have a kind of a back day here for accessory work, and then I have these back extensions here. Like I was saying, this is not meant to necessarily push the lower back yet. Post meet day, there's very likely going to be a bigger change from now and then, but this back extension is purely just a kind of, not a warm-up, but like a cool down, I guess you can call it, for your lower back. Just get some blood flow in it. Obviously it's going to get a little bit stronger just doing the movement itself, but it's kind of a cool down, I guess you can call it, in order to have a little bit less fatigue there, because I know that when we have done this in the past, this exact thing has helped you as well. And then for this Saturday session, we are going to go in doing a 2x1 top set of bench at this specific rep range, and then some back downs for bench here, also ranged out. With this, I'm pretty sure we're going to hit a nice rep PR on this day. I'll get into the top end load on the week 4 here in a moment. And the same thing with deadlift. We are going to be actually doing doubles here. But like I was saying, we're going to be doing doubles with a specific rep ranged out. And then how we talked about last block, we wanted to add in one set of SLDL. So when I went ahead and took away a little bit of workload on deadlift to mitigate that, I put in one set of SLDL and one set of barbell RDL, just to let us push that a little bit harder, see if this can help us push the deadlift to the next level. As for here, I changed normal weighted dips to paused weighted dips. I want us to kind of quote unquote load limit on that and be able to push it a little bit harder for the weighted dips. I think this could be a little more beneficial as well for the quote unquote pause bench here. As we talked about as well, I want us to get commands on every single bench single. So these 2x1 singles, I want us to get commands just to get used to it, since we're so close to meet day 2. So keep that in mind. And then the accessories here were pretty similar, just adjusting rep range. And then I ended up adding the adductor machine here just to get a little bit more of the muscles. We have been neglecting a little more work, and then I know we talked about that there's a new adductor machine at your gym too, so I want to add that in, and I think this will help you a lot too, just to get overall neglected muscle stronger. But like I was talking about, every single, at least one set per day is ranged out or set for a specific load. For the secondary day, we're going from 200 to 205 on week 1 to 2, so 5 kilos, and then we're going to get up 2 kilos the next 2 weeks from weeks 3 to 4, just so you don't get overly fatigued. I didn't want to jump 5 kilos each week. I wanted to do that 5 kilo jump from week 1 to 2, and then from 3 to 4, do a 2.5 kilo jump just to maintain that baseline and then not get overly fatigued. I know that these will feel pretty light, but when it comes to an RPE standpoint, it's going to move really well, but I don't want to overload your body too quickly, which is why I have that specific range jump. And then as for the closer grip bench, it's essentially the same thing. We're just going up 2.5 kilos each week, so 155, 157, 160, 160, 2.5. And then with the pause deadlifts, I know previously we've ended off the block a little bit higher. The reason why I have us pulling a little bit less on that week 4 is because of that back fatigue that's creeping up on us a little bit. So I wanted to pull back a little bit more there. And like I said, we added the SLDL. So a little bit less load isn't going to be hindering for us, especially because it's only a few kilos left. And going into this Thursday session here, right, this week 1 for all primary days is going to be pretty light. It's going to be just kind of get us back into the groove a little bit, since our fitness has been a little bit low due to having to miss a few sessions here and there because of external factors. So I want to keep this week 1 a little bit lighter, have us doing that squat double at 215 at top end from 205 low end, and then this tempo bench, we are having that ranged out here from 160 to 165. That tempo bench have us adding 5 to 2.5 kilos each week. So we'll see from week 1 to 2, you're going to 170, 5 extra kilos, and then you're going 2.5 here. This is for the exact same reason as the squat from Monday. I don't want us to overload the body and overload the fatigue, but I know we need this certain amount of stimulus to feel strong on this day. So we're only making those small jumps from those weeks 3 to 4 on purpose to prime the body a little bit more for the Saturday. And then for this top set of double, we are jumping a little bit bigger week to week right here, right? So we are going to jump 10 kilos from week 1 to 2, from 215 to 225. And then from week 2 to 3, we're going to jump 12 kilos, which would be 225 to 237.5, and then 237.5 to a possible PR 252.5, which would be a 15 kilo jump, right? Our best double is 250 kilos or 551 pounds. This vlog, I'm aiming to either chip or match PR that double. Same thing with deadlifts. We're going to do the same thing when it comes to chipping or matching the PR, but I'll get into that here in a moment. But I do think this is 100% feasible at a pretty quote-unquote easy way. I just don't want to rush into things with the way things are trending now. Our strength is at an all-time high, but I want to let our body catch up to our muscles, if that makes sense. Because if we put too much weight on it too quickly, then we're going to risk injury. We're going to risk being too fatigued doing anything else, which is why I have this ranged out here. And then going into the Saturday, like I was saying, we have that 2x1 top set from 165 to 175, and then that double for comp deadlift from 250 to 255. Each of these jumping up. I also have this first top back down ranged out here. Like I was saying, I think we're going to PR here. But with the jumps from this for these lifts on this top 2x1 bench, I was jumping 7.5 kilos from week 1 to 2, and then from 2 to 3 I was jumping 10, and then from week 3 to 4 I was making a little bit bigger jump of 12.5, capping us at 205 kg. I know that you want to push a little bit more weight, but I really want us to nail down the commands with 205, just so when it comes to meet day we don't have any surprises or anything like that. I want us to make this muscle memory, and then these pretty large ranges have benefited you in the past compared to a little bit smaller ranges on bench for other people. This has yielded extremely good results, which is why I have that ranged out there. And then for that top back down, I was going from 170 to 175, so 5 kilos, and then jumping 2.5 kilos each week from there. The exact same premise as the other 2 days from Thursday and Monday. With this, I am fairly sure this week 3 is going to be a PR, but I know that this week 4 is also a PR for a set of 4, which is pretty huge, that our bench is going this extremely well. So I'm super excited about that. And then, like I was saying, for the deadlift double on the week 4, we have a 2.5, which is a 2.5 PR. Our best is 300 kilos or 661 pounds, with a little bit bigger of a range of from 293 and 302 and a half. But we are gonna start the block at 255, pretty light, pretty easy, nothing crazy, for the exact same reason, keeping the the week 1 baseline strength a little bit lower than normal, just to kind of have a refresher week, and then making a little bit nicer and bigger jumps from weeks 3 to 4. So from week 1, we're going to go from 255 to 265, which is a 10-kilo jump. Not necessarily the most normal jump for a lot of people, but for you specifically, this has worked extremely well, making smaller jumps from week 2 to 3. And then from week 2 to 3, we are jumping 17.5 kilos here instead of a 10, just to like I said, have that baseline a little bit lower from week 1 and 2, and then ramp up from weeks 3 to 4, which has worked extremely well in the past. So we're going 265 to 282.5, which is 17.5, and then from 282.5 to 302.5, possibly, which is going to be, or 300, which is going to be a 17.5 to 20 kilo jump. And with the programming that we've done with this, it's nothing out of the ordinary that we've done in the past. It's things that we've done that's worked, right? So with these things working, there's no reason to change things so astronomically and experiment with things so close to meet day. I think right now our experimentation with certain things will be post meet day, but I know for a fact that everything we're doing now is going to work. The only big thing is we're trying to see how this SLDL additional set adds into strength and stuff like that. But we'll see how everything goes. I'm pretty excited with the block due to that fact that we have so much data that has proved and yielded successful, and we've added all of that into this new block. We're going to see how everything goes, and let me know if you have any questions.